Hello.
Hello again. Fancy seeing you here.
Oh no, it was all blank for a while. I could hear you in the background, but there's no video. And I could hear you typing on the keyboard. And then, oh.
Let me put it away.
Dear me.
It's all a little slow this morning. I think it's got that Friday feeling. It's saying you can't do
It,
more today. Go away.
I know. And in fact, I was on a Zoom meeting starting at 7:30 this morning, and it's a networking event I always go to. So I make sure I'm on at 25 past 7 because it's meant to kick off around 7:30. Lo and behold, there's always people that are late, and there are two, and I've been on this one before. The same two were 10 minutes late, and it's interesting because when you reward bad behaviour, you get it, don't you?
Yes, it carries on.
I would have locked them out. I
Yeah.
would have locked them out. Seriously, because the only way you learn, generally speaking, normally is to avoid pain. Yeah,
Yeah.
or at least leave them in the waiting room for a little while on the naughty step.
I've been to one, in fact, one that you would like. It's called You Are the Media,
All right.
and it's run by a guy called Mark Masters.
Yeah.
It's every fortnight, and it's a Thursday lunchtime,
Yeah.
and it's got lots of energy about it. It's a very energetic presenter, and always has a really good guest speaker. But there's a couple of things that I've noticed that they do differently, is that they've got a holding screen, and they basically say, we're going to verify everybody before you come in. So if you've just got
Yes.
Wendy, we're not letting you in until you put Wendy Harris, which I've always complied. I'm a compliant kind of person. So I've noticed that they've done that, and they've got like a chat box in the waiting area. And there's also a disclaimer to say that if you're late, you won't get in. There's nobody monitoring anybody, once it started,
Yeah.
And I think it's great because it sets the boundaries, it sets the expectations for everybody, and
That's right.
something that I realise now more than ever is, Zoom has to install itself something new every time you go on it, every single day, sometimes
Yeah.
2-3 times. So you've got to allow plenty of time for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's classic, but they will be the same people that will turn up late for a physical meeting as well. And
Yeah,
if you allow that to occur, then in their own mind, it must be okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So it becomes that learned behavior, doesn't it?
yeah.
And it's not difficult to modify. Although I did have a client come to see me many years ago who, she was always late at work. So guess what? Every time she had a session with me, she was always late, and it was about 5-10 minutes. But I totally ignored it, and that was one of the reasons she was coming to see me. But as we went through the session, she got a little bit later, still ignored it. So when she walked in, I'd be reading my book. I go, oh, okay, right, sit down. I always finished on time. If she started to chat, go, oh, that's lovely, we've got other people now. See you next week. Bye. The very final session, when it all came together, she was 10 minutes early. So when she got her shit together, she got her time together.
Yes.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I think that's something that's common, isn't it? Is that people expect their time to be the time, no matter when the clock starts ticking, but they forget that the
That's right.
clock is already ticking. Time is quite
Yes.
valuable anyway. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Although I can be flex, at the end of the day, you can flex on it. I know as a psychotherapist, they were very strict on doing that. But then in the coaching side, I always remember the guy saying, well, does it really matter? I thought, well, yeah, that's probably true, really. It mattered for that one particular person, but for other people, I never made a big deal out of it, ever. Always finished on the time that we said we would, because that was reasonable. But if they were a bit early or a bit late, I just started. In fact, often I wouldn't say anything at all, but I always finished on time.
Yes.
So if they were 20 minutes late, I was on time. So I'd shrink it down, I'd do whatever it took, but they got the worth within that. That's why I never charge for time, I charge for my session. So, because a lot of counsellors will charge for time, won't they? They'll say it's 50 minutes,
Yes.
55 minutes. And
Yeah.
I just used to say, look, I'll book you in, and, but the finishing time will be this time. As if you want to get the fullness out of it, make sure you're early.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there we are.
I know. like treating people like children, so long as they understand why you're
Yeah,
treating
the
them
rules.
that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So how's things been cracking up with you then?
Oh, do you know, I almost cracked up this week, I think. I really
Yeah,
did. Yeah, and I think it's partly down to such confusing
yeah,
instructions.
yeah.
I'll be quite honest about it, that, you know, I didn't
Yeah,
post anything Wednesday,
right.
and that was because I'd planned to go and see my eldest daughter in Sheffield.
Yeah,
We decided that with everything that was going on up until that point, that you know, up until I think it was the Sunday, when we sort of, Saturday or Sunday, we'd said we'll see you on Wednesday then, and I was going to take my youngest daughter with me because it's half term. So I
yeah,
booked the day out. I said, right, let's we'll bring a picnic and we'll sit in the garden, no problem. We
yeah,
might need to use the loo, but we came up with a plan on how to manage that.
yeah.
Great. So that was Saturday. Then my husband said, "Do you know, you just don't know whether it is safe, you know."
Oh,
And the chipping of doubt started,
yeah,
and it was kind of, yeah, no, I know, and it's like, you know, my youngest daughter is asthmatic, so we do have to be mindful. My husband is asthmatic, so we have to be mindful. And he's saying things like, you know, I'm really not that comfortable with Alice going to, just because what might happen, the what
yeah.
if.
Sure. Yeah,
And would you, how would you feel about it if anything happened? Because he was basically saying it'd be your fault.
yeah,
Because I'm not saying you've got my absolute blessing to go. And then of course he starts to say about his mum, who is shielded, that is it right that I can go and see my daughter and he can't go and see his mum? Well, it's different scenarios, different situations, different.
it is. Yeah,
And do you know what? It was like I had to sort of concur in the end that from his point of view, I was putting his daughter at risk, whilst
yeah,
he couldn't see his mum. How fair
yeah,
is all of that? So I could only make one decision, really, and that was just to not to go until we had a clearer instruction from government. And all this flipping Dominic Cummings business didn't help.
yeah. No,
How
it wouldn't.
people were
It wouldn't.
feeling
It
about
wouldn't.
it didn't help.
Yeah, no.
So on Wednesday morning, I'm ringing my daughter and saying, and she's like, "Oh, what have you set off? What time are you setting off?" I'm like, "I'm not coming."
Yeah,
And she was just distraught because
yeah,
she got herself
yeah.
so excited about seeing us.
That's right.
Honestly, my heart is just kind of, I can feel myself
Yeah.
now just talking about it.
Well,
It's like,
it's what Shakespeare said, though, wasn't it? Like, our doubts are our biggest traitors. Yeah.
yeah,
So, with regards to lack of clarity, then the doubts will seep in, little seeds seeping in. So, when it all kicked off, I mean, my partner works at the hospital. Um, I mean, predominantly she specialises with the frailty, but because she has asthma, she had to move into non-clinical.
yeah,
So, what we did is that she would use a different entrance when she comes in, disrobe straight into the washing machine.
yeah,
She brings her clothes in a pillowcase so they get changed. Straight up, no contact, full shower, because soap kills the virus anyway, and just keeping the contact down to zero at the
yeah,
moment. I've done for the past 2 months. Um, so I think that, yeah, socially meeting someone. I mean, I went across to see my daughter, and on purpose sat outside. We were 2 meters on chairs. I know it's fairly tough, but in the open. And I had people, I could see them looking out the windows, sort of eye spotting me. So there's a thing called social anxiety, which a lot of people can suffer from. And this, at the moment, for a lot of people, is just ramping that anxiety way up high. because we're not feeling good about ourselves because we're afraid of doing the wrong thing, aren't we? And like your husband's quite sort of right in his own mind if you think about it, because of his fears, his worries. So it sort of puts you in a like there's a no-win situation there either way, was there?
No,
There's no win, no win
no way.
whatsoever.
It,
Um,
it was down to me to bear that hurt.
yeah,
And
yeah,
what was hardest about it was that actually impacted on both of my daughters being hurt as well because of a decision that I had to make.
yeah,
And then, within the space
yeah,
of
yeah.
24, 48 hours, from Monday we can all meet up,
It all changes.
so from day to day, and
Yeah.
it just goes, what difference would a day or two made? It's kind of,
No, yeah, no difference.
so
Zero, you're right.
so I could have
Tough one.
saved
Tough
all
one.
that hurt, but also by the same token,
All that angst. Yeah.
I'm witnessing irresponsible action, being reported on the news, on the beaches,
Yeah.
like it's VE Day again, and the ships are coming in from war. I just and I'm kind of like, had I have gone, would I have been tarred with that brush of that irresponsibility? That because that's what we don't know, isn't it?
Mm.
So I had
It
to.
is. It's still known, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's back to
Yeah.
what we can control rather than what we can't. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That internal locus of control. Someone who has a very strong internal locus of control and is in control within themselves can often be seen as a rule breaker because they don't comply an awful lot with the general herd mentality, but they'll do it safely. So they will appraise the situation. That's what I've noticed. And if there are crowds of people around, it doesn't make sense to be socializing. If you can, contain yourself within the car, visit someone and keep that distance where possible. But you know what? There is a chance she could catch you, all right? And you're reducing it down to the bare minimum. We'll never, ever get to a point where there's zero guarantee you won't get it. Simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as long as I think you're doing that, because that's life in general. That is life in general. The flus that we often see every year that sadly do kill thousands of people every year. Well, you either get it or you don't. It's as simple as that. This one's particularly vicious as a virus. We know that. Same sort of mentality though. Same mentality. Look after yourself. Take care. A bit like first aid. But just being in mind, it's mental health awareness last week, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's been eroded by there are mixed messages definitely coming out. You're right about the Dominic Cummings affair. No matter what they say, even in the spirit, if he was doing his civic duty as they are now asking people to do, he would not have travelled, would he?
No.
And they're very good at using psychology. They're very good at using phrases that will condition the majority so that they can control. Basically, it's all about controlling the death rate. That's what they're concerned about. Not about saving. They can't do that. It's what can they control. And we, as a group of people, have to decide.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they're not issuing numbers every day now. It's wrapped up differently. So we're having to really dig down into what is going on. And yeah, the numbers came down under 200, but then suddenly shot right back up again. And that I see as an impact of like the VE weekend, where I witnessed social distancing being broken. And so, you just think, I think I'm a fairly sensible person, would apply common sense. We need strong leadership. We need strong messages and I think, and my husband and I were talking about this. When did we feel that the messaging weakened? And I do believe that it was when the slogan changed from save lives to stay alert, because I don't think it was that strong enough for anybody to take action against.
There's no clarity there. Well, what do you mean by stay alert? You know what I mean? For someone in the SAS, it means I've got you in my crosshairs and I'm going to shoot you.
No,
I
nothing
know.
coming. I mean, it's kind of laughable. It's really laughable. But
It is.
yes, but then, that toughness this week, last week was just awesome. It was just, I was celebrating something every day, and not just little things. It was like real milestones of things.
Yeah.
So when you just go, well, I
Yeah.
should expect it to go like that then. Don't be so surprised.
No. No, if it does, just think, well, okay, how long am I gonna allow myself to feel this feeling? Because it's your feeling, you're allowed to feel it. I believe that. I believe all feelings are okay, whether they're positive, negative, sad, glad, bad, or whatever. Because there are feelings. It's just how long do I want to be feeling it for? Because that's up to me.
Yes.
Yeah. If I want to dwell on it and
Yeah.
chew the arse out of it, because I can get really good at doing that, I can make it last all day.
Yeah. And I think what I was proudest of how I handled it, because let's face it, we're all very isolated.
Good.
And I literally just said to my youngest daughter, get your shoes on, we're taking the dog for a walk. It was blistering hot and the dog really wasn't that happy about it. But we went on a walk. We went around space. And my daughter and I, we talked through why her dad was feeling this way, why I was feeling this way, why she was feeling this way, why my eldest daughter was feeling that way, and how, this is the best we could do in the circumstances. And the only thing that I needed from there on was to hear back from my eldest daughter that she was now feeling okay, that she understood. And it literally took about 3 hours for that message to come through. And that was then great. Appreciate that. I love you.
Yeah. Well, she was processing it, wasn't she? Yeah.
I
that's
needed,
right.
I needed to
Take
that clarity. Yeah.
When I was coaching people an awful lot, I'd say 3 hours, that's too long. Let's work out how we can get that down to 3 minutes. Will that be all right? So go on then. Because the time it takes to actually resolve doesn't matter, does it? Really, it's an illusion. It's because there'll come a point where the resolution in the mind, the processing, and all of that. And I think that's what a lot of people are challenged by at the moment. Their inability to process what's going on so they can then actually move their life forwards and not dwell on what's happening that they can't control. Because we go back to, you can control the things that are in your control, but outside of you, you can't control that at all in any shape or form. And often it's just a thought or a feeling that's getting in your way, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's Mr. Outrageous' take on it anyway.
I love Mr. Outrageous's take on it. It's because it didn't last that long. It was poignant.
Good.
And it was a heightened emotion. But I also think that it's almost going to heighten when we do meet. It's going to make it all the better, if that makes complete sense.
I think so. Maybe just accepting, it is what it is.
It's if that's the only tough thing I've had to deal with, apart from what everybody's trying to do, which is stay in business, stay helpful, stay useful, have something to come out the other end from, then do you know what, I think I've got away quite unscathed.
True. I mean, you're right. I had an issue to deal with the other day. So my father has had a major operation. He hasn't been particularly well ever since. His recovery's not been very good. He's had a prolapse to the actual wound. And then to top it all off, he's suffering from post-operative delusion and cognitive disorder, which isn't pleasant at all. And literally 2 days ago, it all reared to an ugly head where I rang up to speak with him at the mental health unit he's at, and he said, "Oh, is it the Royal Infirmary?" I said, "Oh, what's going on there?" Well, his stomach wasn't very well and his stomach was hurting. Anyway, later on it transpired, so my mum was on the phone, that things weren't going very well inside at all. And we had to go in for an emergency operation. And she said to me, he might not pull through. So I'm stuck at home.
Prepared.
Mum's 40 odd miles away. And I'm preparing to thinking, well, I spoke to him the other day. That might be the final time I've ever got the chance to speak with him. So very quickly, in my own mind, I just went through my own sort of resolution and just accept it. And I found it's really weird. I've learned that ability very fast. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be sad or grieving or anything like
No,
that,
doesn't
but it
take
can make a
back.
massive difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I had it with my grandma many years ago. So she's near the end of her life, and I'm at her home, and she passes out in front of me on the chair. My uncle was there, and he's screaming, she's dead." And I'm looking at her thinking, well, I don't think so. So I went straight into the neck, and I could feel a pulse. Yeah. So as I seem to become very detached very fast,
Yeah.
and it's a skill of not being too closely associated. And I think that's got a relatively high level of psychopathy, a healthy level, but it just allows me to detach often, to then process, and then allow the emotions and feel the emotions. So you're right, we just don't know. Nowadays, it's this. Although I have thought that what I might say if I was ever caught by the police having to go up to Leicester fairly quickly, that I chose on my instincts to travel.
I put on a new pair of glasses today. I needed to check.
Oh, I need to. Oh, to look at the state of these glasses. I need to test them out,
Yeah,
officer.
I mean, it's
I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's laughable, but it's like a bit frightening, really, because it's been laughed off, and they're carrying on. It's like, no, this is not a comedy film I'm watching. It's not like a Mel Brooks film, because that's what it feels like. We've got Humble and Bumble. No, no, this is real life,
this is
and it's
and
unbelievable.
it's now been taking oxygen for a week.
Yes, too
Uh,
much, too much. Have you ever read the book Animal Farm by George Orwell?
yes, yes,
There it is. There it is. All animals are equal. Then it was crossed out, wasn't it? Some animals are more equal than others. Yeah, and it's right in our face. It's right in our face. In the 40s, during the Second World War, there was a guy called Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. Edward Bernays was the Dominic Cummings of the 40s, and he was the man that would advise on propaganda. Now, when the war finished, he decided he'd use everything that he'd learned, especially from Uncle Siggy, to set up a new business, and he called it public relations. Well worth checking out. He's one of those people that you wouldn't have heard of him, but then when you do your history check, he was the man that realised that the more you can manipulate the masses, the better results you can get for the politicians. And that's what he did. He was hopeless at one-on-one communication, Edward Bernays. He couldn't cope with it, but he definitely was very good with mass. So yeah, Edward Bernays, without a doubt. In fact, I think what I might do a special report on Edward Bernays.
yeah,
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
That would be really
The
interesting.
Lost. Yeah, it might be related to the Dominic comments. That would be funny.
It has connections to Durham.
You never know, dear. You never know. Life's strange.
Yeah, oh, it is. I think it's a lot of things that I'm seeing where our trusted sources, of news,
Yeah,
it just doesn't. It's like they're all on drugs or something for what they're
yeah.
reporting. Nothing makes much sense. It's all very
No.
disjointed. Nobody. It's like one rule for one rule for another, one rule for another. Oh, but that wasn't a rule; it was just guidance. You're going, what? Just tell me. So
Yeah. Well,
I
look.
kind of come to the conclusion. Right, I'm just going to stay as I have been all along,
Yes.
and until they sort themselves out.
Yeah. We could just carry on with our life as an adult safely on our own. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Yeah,
if you're going to wipe
exactly.
yourself out, you go for it.
Just do it. Just do it. And and people have the audacity not to trust used car salespeople. How could they not do that? Politicians must be at the lowest level. Salespeople are up here. Hello. Hey, you need to unmute yourself.
I said somebody must have been listening.
And, you know, not far off wrong. Not far off wrong. Okay, with a name like Gary Outrageous, number one, mentioning, you know, Dumb and Dumber, number two, Toot and Plute. Yes, yeah, bound to be like some bandwidth, some screening. Boom, we're going to cut them off. Cut them off in their prime. Absolutely.
Nobody wants to listen to this. Oh dear.
But I'm sure we can pick something out that we could actually share. So basically, you know, you're right, from like really going for it and having that day of confusion, how clarity can make a massive difference. Yeah, a clear sort of purpose. How long do we allow ourselves to be wrapped up in this thing that we're in at the moment? And what we found, one of the best ways of raising ourselves above that. That's all. You know, to find out what are others people doing, because there must be thousands of people out there that have had similar situations, similar frustrations, feeling annoyed.
Yeah.
And like for me, it really can be. It can be as quick as that, as fast as that. I always remember the word decide was described to me as from the Latin of de caete, which means to cut off. So when you make a decision, you cut off any other possibility. So when we decide, that's it, no more. I'm going to get myself back into focus. How long it took to get to that point is the illusion called time, isn't it? So when people say, "Oh, you know, I had a bad day," I go, "What do you mean a bad day? Yeah, that's 24 hours. That takes a lot of effort. That's why people with mental health struggle, because it takes a lot of effort to keep up with chewing the arse out of something that's not good for them. Yeah, because the mind goes in a circle.
I think you're right. That rumination of things.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
My mum suffers terribly, and when she says she's okay, you know she's not. When she's telling,
the way she says it.
Yeah, it's when she's telling you, oh well, you know, and she'll tell you this and this, that you start to get the full picture and you pull it. When she says, yeah, I'm okay, you know she's not. And we were chatting yesterday, and I said, oh mom, you know, I meant to ring you back yesterday, but my day was just meh, just didn't want to talk to anybody really. And I just said to her, you know, she's in Cornwall. There's no way I'm going to be popping to see her anytime soon. But I knew that she would understand. You know, an hour's drive is doable now. Yeah. And it was kind of like, no, oh, when you know you've got to do this. And I said, and she was saying how she was starting to get closer relationships with some of her neighbours that she'd actually fallen out with because of her personality. She tends to try and overcompensate everything because she's trying to hide how she feels all the time. And I was just sort of saying to her, you know, Mum, one of your biggest challenges in my mind for the years of me growing up is that when you say something's bad and you don't like something, you're like a dog with a bone, you don't let it go. And then it's bad, and then it's still bad, and then it's got...
Well, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I can't see you either.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh dear. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? Definitely.
It is. It's saying you're muted. I can hear you. What's going on? I
don't know. It said that I'd muted everybody, and I didn't even know I could do that.
Someone's listening. Mr. Friendly, I'm Mr. Head is listening.
It's because I've told Facebook that I'm reading I Am Pilgrim, and that I've just got to the bit where they've engineered that virus. I didn't know what the plot was. Oh dear.
So I know we're looking at our time. If we can grab just a short piece that you and
Yes.
I can have a play with, and I think it's about um, like, are you holding on to the bone too much?
I can see a picture now. It
Oh,
well
can you
with
start my video? Has my video started? Stop.
no, I've got your picture. Ask to start video. Let's see if that works.
He's back.
He's back. Are you back?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I can't see you. I can just see your friend, little happy smiley face.
Yeah.
Well, due to
Weird.
some
This is weird.
technical issues this morning, this is our third attempt. Hey!
Back in the room.
Back in the room with his shirt on. I'm going to have to start
Yeah.
stepping up to this, you know. I have to start stepping up. Yeah,
Go
no,
for it.
what we were saying before, my mum, when she gets hold of something that's not good, it will just grow to a
Yes.
biblical proportion of it being terrible. And it's and what she's realized and said to me yesterday was that she realizes that she perpetuates it, and she's got to learn to identify what she's not happy with and change that as soon as she recognizes it. You know, and you just go, Mom, I've been telling you that for 30 years.
I know.
But
Remember what I said? Time's an illusion. Yeah. 31 years or 31 minutes, 31 seconds. Doesn't matter. For your mum, the best thing that she can do is identify the cue, the trigger. Yeah.
yeah,
And where possible, it might be a feeling, because it's normally in the front part of the body, feelings, emotionals, or it might be something that pops into her mind. That's all. As soon as she becomes aware of that, what I'd be looking to share with her is an interrupt pattern.
yes,
Something that's
yeah,
going to break her state as fast as possible. Yeah, and I'm sure you're aware of it, but it could be anything. It could be, okay, Mum, you've got to stand up out of your chair, turn around, tweak your nose, and go, no, I'm not doing that anymore, and sit back down again. Yeah,
yeah.
I've done that many times with people, many times, and they get confused because
And
physically you're doing it really fast.
adults need to be retaught that trick, don't they?
Yes,
Whereas
yes,
as adults and as parents, we automatically use the art of distraction with children when something's
yes,
not happening right, when they fall over and they hurt their knee and they cry, when they get frustrated because they can't do whatever task it is in front of. We know it. We're happy to share that down the generation of time, but
absolutely.
often very quickly forget how to do that for ourselves.
Yeah. So maybe today, if people are watching and listening to this snippet, which is how do you let go of the bone, will be, okay, so what are you doing to identify maybe behaviors or thoughts that are getting in your way, rather than dwelling on them and trying to, because what happens, people dwell on it because they want to find out why. Why is the biggest killer? You know why, because you've already got the result 20,000 times in your life. So you're right, Wendy, a bit like with kids, very quickly, like that one little tip, pinch your nose, sing a nursery rhyme backwards, yeah, put the biggest stupid grin on your face, yeah, and say something motivational in your mind's eye as fast as you can. Do it 5 times.
Yeah. Do a
It'll change.
handstand.
Do a handstand.
Yeah.
That's right, absolutely, yeah. Anything that's going to change, because motion's created by emotion, isn't it? So the more motion that we do, we can change our emotions.
Yeah.
Those that tend to be stuck in their ways tend to be often sitting down or stationary with their mind going on and on and on and on.
Yes. Yeah.
And the worst thing is to actually have a relative or a partner that colludes with you, yeah, that wants to look at you, that wants to say, are you okay? Are you fine? No, stop doing that, because all that's doing is reinforcing the behavior. It's as simple as that. Nothing to go up to with a wood pistol and go, ha ha, got you, and then run away. Okay, there might be fireworks, but I tell you what, you're changing the behaviour. Or
Yeah.
just ignore it. Just ignore it when they're going, if they're doing the same story. I've had that many times, yeah? When people go, no, I'm not listening now. I'm not interested. Can we talk about something completely different, please? And that might seem to be uncaring, but the most caring thing you can do is help someone get out of
Nip it in the
the
bud.
rumination cycle.
Yes, nip it in.
Yes,
My nan
yes,
and
in the
granddad.
garden.
Yeah, my nan and granddad were brilliant at bickering. They would argue
Yeah.
over something, and it was just to liven things up, because they'd be sitting and there'd be not much happening, so they'd start to bicker, and then you
Yep.
see my nan, she would have sweets, she would have a bowl of sweets, and there'd be boiled sweets being flung across the room, and he'd go, thanks, that saved me getting up and getting one. So my granddad would start it on purpose because he wanted a sweet.
Yeah.
Didn't want to say sweets, but it's the fun things of that can stop, certainly relationships. If you're locked together, I mean, we've never been, we don't have longer than 2 weeks on holiday with each other, do we? So, at the
That's
moment,
right.
I can imagine that there's, we really do know each other much better now.
Good.
We need to stop hiding behind, that, oh, well, when you've gone to work, I can, be myself. You've got to be yourself all the time. And I think, that's important.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering what other people do to nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Hashtag nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud. Yeah. And I mean, I actually asked people in the week on my LinkedIn and said, what are you doing to cope? And there was 2 common factors, and that was getting outside in the sunshine, gardening, or getting out in the sunshine, walking. They're getting out and moving and doing. So if it's that motion of things, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. I just think nip it in the bud is a great place to start.
Awesome. So our last 5-6 minutes, I think we've got something there for everyone.
I hope they enjoy listening to our ramblings, our ways of the working mind.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
Watch out for the next instalment.
Looking forward to it. Definitely. Cheers, Wendy.
Thanks, Gary.